Hey there. So let's say you have $5,000 sitting in your bank account right now. Not enough to buy a house, not enough to start most businesses, barely enough to survive a bad month. But what if I told you that $5,000 is exactly how some of America's wealthiest car dealers got started? Not with a loan, not with a rich uncle, not even with a dealership. Just $5,000, a phone, and a system that almost nobody talks about. And here's the crazy part. Most people think car dealers make money just by selling cars. That's not actually where the real money is. In this video, I'm going to break down the exact blueprint, step by step, that takes someone from $5,000 to potentially millions in the car business. And by the end, you'll understand why some people flip one car and stay broke, while others quietly build empires. Let's get started. Section 1. Why cars? Before we get into the blueprint, you need to understand why cars are one of the most underrated wealth-building vehicles, pun intended, in America. Because on the surface, the business doesn't even look that special. You're buying metal with wheels and selling it to someone else. Simple. But hidden inside that simplicity is a market so massive that most people never fully understand its scale. Unlike stocks, cars are physical. You can see them, touch them, fix them, and sell them fast. Unlike real estate, the entry price is low. You don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars to get started, and unlike a regular business, there's a built-in market of millions of buyers who need a car. Not want, need. People need cars to get to work, pick up their kids, and run their lives. Now here's the number that should completely change how you see this industry. In 2023, Americans bought over 15 million new cars and tens of millions of used ones. That's a market worth over $1 trillion every single year. And the people who know how to position themselves inside that market, they eat very, very well. But here's the interesting part. Most people enter this market the wrong way. They try to start big. Fancy lot, expensive office, huge inventory, and that's usually how they fail. Because the people who survive long-term almost always start with something much smaller. One car, one flip, one deal that teaches them how the game actually works. So, the question isn't whether the opportunity exists, it obviously does. The real question is, how do you get in without getting destroyed financially? Section 2. Stage 1. The $5,000 flip. Every big dealer started here, buying one car, selling it for more, simple. But this is also the stage where most beginners lose money because they don't realize what actually creates profit. It's usually not the car itself. It's the buy. Your first move is to find an undervalued car. The best places? Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and local auctions. But here's something experienced dealers understand immediately. The best deals usually come from emotional sellers, not perfect cars. You're looking for motivated sellers and people going through a divorce, a job loss, or someone who simply needs cash fast and doesn't have time to wait for the best offer. These sellers price their cars below market value because speed matters more to them than profit. Now this next part is what separates amateurs from people who actually make money. Your job is to know what a car is really worth before you ever touch your wallet. How? Use 3 tools: Kelley Blue Book, Car Gurus, and Auto Trader. Search the exact make, model, year, and mileage in your area. See what similar cars are selling for, because if you can buy a car for $3,000 and comparable cars are listed at $5,500, you've found your window. But here's where beginners make the mistake that wipes out all their profit. They fall in love with the deal too early. Before you buy, always get a pre-purchase inspection. A mechanic charges around $100 to $150 to put the car in a lift and tell you everything that's wrong with it, and that tiny inspection fee can save you from a financial disaster. That $150 could stop you from buying a $3,000 car with a hidden $4,000 engine problem. Never skip this step. Then comes the part most people underestimate: presentation. Because buyers don't just purchase cars, they purchase confidence. Once you buy the car, do a basic detail, clean interior, wash exterior, fix cheap cosmetic issues. A dirty car with a cracked bumper looks like a problem car even if the engine is perfect. Spend $200 improving appearance, and suddenly the same car feels worth $1,000 more to buyers. Then list it. Good photos, natural lighting, clean background, and here's something most sellers completely ignore: Your description is selling trust before the buyer even messages you. Write a description that answers every question up front: mileage, accidents, service history, reason for selling. The less uncertainty buyers feel, the faster the car moves. Your first flip might make you $1,500, maybe $2,000. And honestly, that first profit changes people because suddenly they realize something dangerous. Money can be created without clocking into a job. Section 3, Stage 2, Stack and Scale. Now here's where most people accidentally stay small forever. They make 1 or 2 flips, feel successful, buy something stupid, and reset back to zero. But the blueprint says something completely different. Reinvest everything. Because this is where the business quietly starts compounding. Take that $5,000. Flip it into $7,000, take the $7,000 and flip it into $10,000. Now you can buy 2 cars at once. And this is the moment things start accelerating because 2 cars mean 2 opportunities to profit simultaneously. You're no longer working linearly, you're scaling. This is compounding, the same principle Warren Buffett used in stocks, just applied to physical inventory. Every dollar goes back into the business, no vacations, no luxury purchases, no pretending you're rich too early. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Most businesses don't die from lack of opportunity. They die because the owner starts paying themselves before the machine is strong enough. By the time you've done 10 to 15 flips, something important happens. You develop what dealers call a feel for the market, and this skill is almost impossible to teach. You know which cars move fast. You know which ones sit forever. You know which sellers are desperate. You know which buyers waste time, and here's the crazy thing, that knowledge eventually becomes more valuable than your starting capital. Then something even more powerful starts happening. Deal flow starts coming to you. People tag you when someone needs to sell a car fast. Friends start calling you first. Your reputation becomes a magnet for opportunities, and once that happens, you're no longer just flipping cars, you're building positioning. Section 4, Stage 3, Get licensed. Now, here's the part almost nobody on YouTube talks about when they discuss car flipping. At some point, if you're successful enough, the state starts paying attention. In most U.S. states, you can only sell between 4 and 6 cars per year as a private individual before the state legally considers you a dealer. And crossing that line without a license can create serious problems, heavy fines, legal issues, even having deals challenged, which means the very thing making you money can suddenly become a liability if you don't evolve. So once you're consistently moving inventory, get your dealer license. And here's why this changes the game completely. It gives you access to the same ecosystem professional dealers use. The process varies by state, but generally it requires a physical lot address, a surety bond, insurance, and a background check. The total cost is usually between $1,000 and $3,000. Now, to beginners, that sounds expensive, but compared to what it unlocks, it's tiny. Because with a dealer license, you gain access to dealer-only auctions like Mannheim and Odessa. And this is where many dealers quietly make their biggest jumps. You're now buying cars before the public ever sees them, which means your margins instantly improve, but that's not even the biggest advantage. The real advantage is volume. The ceiling that capped your growth as a private seller disappears, and once that ceiling disappears, the business starts behaving very differently. Section 5, Stage 4, Build the business. This is where flipping cars stops being a hustle and starts becoming an actual company. And here's the strange part. At this level, the people who win aren't necessarily the best negotiators. They're the people with the best systems. Because systems scale. Hustle doesn't. The first system you need is inventory management. Know exactly what you bought, what you spent on repairs, what your holding costs are, and what your target profit is, because the moment you stop tracking numbers, money starts leaking silently. Most dealers use software like DealerSocket, Fraser, or even a detailed spreadsheet. Now here's where the business gets really interesting, and honestly, this is the part most outsiders never see. The real money in dealerships often isn't from selling the car itself, it's from financing. When customers finance through your dealership, you earn something called a finance reserve, essentially a cut between the bank's rate and the customer's rate, and suddenly the economics change dramatically. On one financed car, that reserve might be $500 to $1,500. Now multiply that across 20 or 30 cars a month. This is why some dealerships look average from the outside, but quietly print cash behind the scenes. To access this, you build relationships with lenders, credit unions, regional banks, finance companies. And once those relationships are established, your business starts operating on an entirely different level. Then comes marketing, because at scale, being good isn't enough. People have to know you exist. You need a Google business profile, reviews, local Facebook ads, a website. Because modern car buyers shop online before they ever step onto a lot. And if you don't show up online, to most customers, you basically don't exist. Section 6, the $5 million milestone. Now let's answer the question that brought you here in the first place. How does someone actually go from $5,000 to a business worth millions? Here's the math. A mid-sized independent dealership selling 30 cars per month at an average front-end profit of $2,000 per car generates $60,000 per month in gross profit. That's $720,000 per year from car sales alone. But remember earlier when I said selling cars isn't where the biggest money is? Here's why. Add finance income of around $800 per deal across 30 cars, that's another $24,000 per month. Another $288,000 per year. Combined gross profit? Over $1 million annually. And here's where the business transforms from income into wealth. Because now, you're no longer just making money, you're owning assets, your inventory, your customer database, your reputation, your lender relationships, your systems. All of those things have value, which means the dealership itself can eventually be sold. And a dealership generating over $1 million in annual gross profit can potentially be valued at 3 to 5 times that amount. That's how a $5,000 starting point can eventually become a $3 million to $5 million asset. Not overnight, not through luck, but through stacking systems, relationships, reputation, and time. That is the blueprint. Conclusion, so let's recap. Stage 1, find undervalued cars, flip them for profit, reinvest everything. Stage 2, stack flips until you have real capital and real market knowledge. Stage 3, get licensed, access dealer auctions, widen your margins. Stage 4, build systems, inventory, financing, marketing, and let the business operate like a machine. And eventually you own an asset worth millions. Now, is this easy? No, and honestly, that's exactly why most people never make it, because this business rewards patience more than excitement. The dealers who succeed long-term aren't usually the flashiest. They're the ones who treated every flip like a lesson and kept improving while everyone else quit early. The market is enormous, the demand is constant, and the blueprint, as you just saw, is hiding in plain sight. The only question is whether you'll use it. If you want me to make more videos breaking down money blueprints like this one, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.